to Cooking with Francois. I'm going to take off my mask while I do the cooking. Fix my mustache, of course, and get ready to cook a classic French dish called beef bourguignon. I guess I'm saying that right. Even though I took French in high school, I didn't. Anyway, so this is actually an adaptation of one of my favorite chef's recipes. My mother and I used to watch her all of the time on Saturday afternoons on public television when I was growing up. We never knew what she was going to be up to from one time to the next. And that, of course, is Julia Child. When she cooked swordfish, she had a sword attached to her waist and used it to cut the steak off of the swordfish piece that she had. She also wore a hat like Napoleon one time. I'm not doing any of that, but we are going to cook a pressure cooker adaptation of Julia Child's recipe. First thing I need to do is I'm taking the top off of my cooker and I'm going to put it on brown sauté. Brown sauté, start. All right, it's going to start heating up. While it is starting to heat up, you're going to need 6 ounces of roughly chopped bacon. So I'm going to slice up this bacon to make it easier on myself. Of course, I bought already sliced bacon, so I'm just going to cube up by cutting across the slices, and then I'm going to sprinkle them into my pan. There are a number of very French ingredients in this particular recipe, including red wine. Now, those of you that are concerned, perhaps, of your children eating something that has red wine in it, we will be cooking it enough to cook the alcohol out, leaving only the flavor of the red wine. Now that the pot is getting hot, we're going to put some olive oil in the pot. I think, there we go, that ought to be about enough. The recipe calls for about a tablespoon. I don't ever measure when I'm putting olive oil in something, so we'll just say that's what that was. Now I'm going to go ahead and in that olive oil, I'm going to crumble up the bacon into pieces, and we're going to cook it until it is brown and crispy. So I'll be back in a few minutes after we have browned the bacon and removed it from the pot, but left those wonderful bacon drippings. I think it's Emerald Lagasse is one of the people that says that pork fat is one of the best things to cook in. So, be back in a few minutes. All right, everybody. Our bacon has cooked until it is nice and crispy. We are now going to take it out and spread it on some towels. Taking it, but leaving that wonderful bacon grease in the pot. And don't worry, we'll be using this later on. That's left because I might nibble on it, you know. I do love bacon. I was thinking while we were away, while I was cooking this bacon, that I think one of the people that I know that made a statement about pork is David Venable on QVC, who says he refers to bacon as the divine swine. So I'm stealing that from you, David. You'll probably never see this, but if you do, just understand that it's a compliment to you. All right, there is our 6 ounces of bacon. Now, in batches, I've already patted our beef dry and cut it into 2-inch pieces. We're now going to brown it in batches in this wonderful bacon grease and olive oil. Do not crowd it in the pan. And we'll do as many batches as it takes. And I will come back to you when I take the last batch of browned meat out of the pot. Be back in a few. All right, my last batch has browned. Now we're going to add all of the meat back to the pot. You don't take any of the grease or oil out. You put your beef back in there. You put your bacon, crispy bacon, back in there. Now we're going to put in 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/2 a teaspoon of coarse salt. And I'm probably not going to put the whole 1/2 because we will be putting a bouillon cube in there. So I don't really want to get it too salty. You then take 2 tablespoons of flour and you sprinkle it over the top of the meat. And we're going to stir that until it's all nice and browned. That's going to take us about 4 or 5 minutes. So as soon as I get this part done, we'll be back to continue. So, once again, be back in a few minutes. He's back again. We're going to be adding our other ingredients. Notice I did remember my handy dandy chopper this time. You're supposed to dice up your onion. Lovely. This is a stew, so it doesn't have to be cut up real fine or anything. Get this piece off the blade. And so you put in your onions. You put in your carrots, your bouillon, 4 cloves of minced garlic. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3, 4, and the 4th one's small, so I threw in another small one. Get all that good garlic out of there. Two cups of stock. One. This is a 1/2 cup measure. 2, 3, 4, which makes 2 cups. Pearl onions. Recipe says about 12. These are not very big, so I'm going to put about 3/4 of the bag in there. We're now going to put in the tomato paste. Let's see, our tomato paste, we're supposed to use, well, let's see if I can find it or not. There it is, 2 tablespoons. One, 2, it's a 1/2 tablespoon measure, so don't panic. I prefer, when I'm cooking things that don't have a lot of tomato paste, I don't like buying the cans, I prefer to use this type of tomato paste because I can put it in the refrigerator. We're going to add 2 bay leaves. We're going to add a teaspoon of, it says fresh, grocery store didn't have fresh, so I'm using dried thyme. Sometimes you have to adjust with that. Fresh parsley. It says about 2 tablespoons. Let's cheat again. I got flat leaf parsley instead of curly. Oh yeah, chopped it up real nice. Let's stir that all together. Get that tomato paste mixed in real good. And now comes the real good part. Remember, always, always, always cook with a wine that you would drink. Don't buy cooking wine because it usually has salt added to it. This calls for 3 cups of red wine. It says to use a Pinot Noir, a Merlot, or a Chianti. I hope somebody's counting. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's going to take this whole bottle. I don't think there's going to be a bit for me. Oh, there might be 1 swallow. All right, we have our 3 cups of wine. Remember, shh, I got the wine. I don't want Miss Calhoun coming out here and getting me. So, we stir it all together. We put our lid on. It's hard to do backwards. Now we're going to turn off the Sauté. We're going to do pressure cook. And we're going to pressure cook for 30 minutes. And then we will be back to finish off our beef bourguignon. One of the things we're going to do while this is cooking is you do not put your mushrooms in until after it comes down from pressure. I've already cut the mushrooms, but I'm going to saute those in a skillet with 2 tablespoons of butter and the 2 other garlic cloves. So I'm just going to saute those. When this is ready, we're going to take the top off, and then I'll give you the rest of the instructions. So, see you in a little bit. Well, it's finished cooking. I'm doing 8 to 10 minutes of natural release. Then I will release the rest of the pressure. Here are the mushrooms that I cooked. And then once we open the pot, we're going to add these. Then we're going to sprinkle some of this flat leaf parsley on it. So, be back in just a few. All right, we've waited our time. Let's release what pressure's left. All right, the pressure has now been released. Let's add our mushrooms. Give it a good stir. And now let's let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes to thicken up the sauce. So I'm going to turn it back on Sauté. All right. Oh boy. Sure does look good. Let me stop it. Let me ladle some into this bowl for you to see. We have our beef and our carrots and our pearl onions and our mushrooms. And oh good, I found one earlier. There's the other. Remember to always take out your bay leaves. So, here is our beef Bourguignon a la Julia Child. I have a little bit of mashed potatoes here. And I'm going to get me a little bit. Let's see, I got me some meat. Got me I want an onion. Where are the onions? I know I saw one. Maybe I stirred it too much. All right, look at there. So, let's take our fork, the meat, even though I used some I used London broil and a chuck shoulder roast, but you can still cut it with a fork, just not up in the air like I was trying. So I'm going to get me a little bit of these mashed potatoes, which is what I'm serving them with. And a little bit of a mushroom and some of the meat. The recipe says that if you don't want to use 3 cups of wine, you can use 2. And use an extra cup of stock, but I tell you, that wine gives it such a rich, rich flavor. So, I hope you'll try this at home. And until next time, remember, let's dig in.